step a little bit further.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to some. This is Johnny B. I'm going to do part 2 of Ideological Subversion. And we're listening to Yuri Bezmenov. And we are backtracking a little bit, and only because otherwise the video would have only been like 5 minutes. And this way I get to kind of add a little more that I didn't particularly say in the first video.
Shooting people. Okay, law and order now also is pushed into the area where previously people...
Okay, he's on the destabilization stage, and he's talking about what needs to be done for destabilization. For example, groups like Black Lives Matter, for example, go in and constantly try to go against the police, try to make them look dumb, try to make them look, just like I said in my article I wrote, make them look like they don't know what they're talking about. And the media always sides on the side of the movement. They never side on the side of law enforcement.
Settle their differences peacefully and legitimately. Now, we are getting with this court cases in the smallest irrelevant cases. We cannot solve our problems anymore.
Oh, every single case they want to take to court. They must fight every single case. That's Saul Alinskyism also, okay?
More. The society at large becomes more and more antagonistic between individuals, between groups of individuals, and the society at large. The media puts himself in the opposition to the society.
Just like I said, they always put themselves on the side of the movement. So if a black person shoots a cop, no problem. But if a cop shoots a black person, then Black Lives Matter gets involved, and then they will try to press charges on the police. They will try to create an uprising. They will even say things that are fake. It doesn't matter. Remember I told you the media doesn't worry whether or not it's true. They will try to go back later and then justify their bullshit later. But in the meantime, they do not care. Hands up, don't shoot. They don't care. All right?
In general, at large, separate, alienated. Okay? On that.
And that's how we are right now, separate and alienated. It has literally become, whether you are a nationalist, a patriot, or whether you are Antifa, a communist, things like that. There is literally no line difference, because everybody that used to be a progressive, everyone that's been even a classical liberal, has been alienated from the left. So they don't really consider themselves conservatives. They're kind of floaters, so to speak.
Stage. You remember I was talking a couple of hours ago about the sleepers. That's when the students from, say, United States, if they're trained in Lumumba University, or developing nations that the students I was dealing with, are being sent back from the Soviet...
Sleeper agents. Okay, so after the first stage, which is demoralization stage, which takes 15 to 20 years, then the people who were trained to overtake our country and create the destabilization, preachers, priests, actors, politicians, they start to get involved.
Union here. Or if they were already in the United States, in the country, which is the object of subversion, they spring to action. The sleepers go up. They slept.
Sleepers go up. The sleepers get involved. That's what it means.
15 to 20 years. Now they become leaders of groups, preachers, I don't know, public figures. Prominently, they actively include themselves in a political process. All of a sudden, we see a homosexual. 15 years ago, he did his dirty job and nobody cared. Now he makes it a political issue.
You can tell this was 1983. He talks about homosexuality as a dirty job. He would probably be ostracized in today's community because they'd sit there and say, how dare you? But this is before just like he said, these people would have actually tried to create a classification for homosexuality, which was done approximately 10 years after this video.
political issue. He demands recognition, respect, human rights, and he rallies a large group of people. And there are violent clashes between him and police, his group and ordinary people, no matter what. It's black against white, yellows against green, doesn't matter where the division line goes. As long as this group come into antagonistic clash, sometimes militantly, sometimes with firearms, that is destabilization process. The sleepers, many of whom are...
What would you call Gilets jaunes? Gilets jaunes, okay? The yellow vests. Clashing with the police. Destabilization stage.
Are simply KGB agents, become leaders of the process of destabilization. Doesn't mean that Comrade Andropov sends Comrade Ivanov to the United States. The person who takes care is already here. He's a respected citizen of the United States. Sometimes he gets money from various foundations for his legitimate struggle for, I don't know, human rights, women rights, kid lib, prison lib, whatever. There are sympathetic Americans who donate their money to him. This stabilization process usually leads directly to the process of crisis. In case of developing nations,
leads to the third stage, which is crisis. And this is where the Gilets jaunes is leading. The Gilets jaunes, yellow vests, let me just say yellow vests, are leading. They've now gone, this is the 11th week, and they're building up and building up and building up and building up. They're in so many cities now in France, and it's just one after another. And they're just getting bigger and bigger and bolder and bolder and bolder. And something's going to continue setting it off. We don't know what it is. Is it going to be the British that set it off? Is it going to be within their own country that set it off? Is it going to be what's happening in Venezuela that sets it off? We don't know. But I predicted there was going to be 5 civil wars by the end of this year. And the way things are going, I may be pretty darn close.
That's the area where I was active. The process starts when the legitimate bodies of power, the social structure collapse. It cannot function anymore. So instead, we have artificial's body injected into society, such as non-elected committees. You remember I was talking about them here. Social workers who are not elected by people, media who are self-appointed rulers of your opinion, some strange groups which claim that they know how to lead society forward. They don't usually. All they care is how to collect donations and sell their own concocted.
Right, you're going to have these groups, and they're even in America too. In fact, they're all over America. You have these groups that are called fix-it groups. That no one elected them. These are activists. These are people that are very far left-wing, and they claim that they can come in and fix it. And because they're liberal or completely indoctrinated Marxists, they want them to fix it because they know more than we do. You see? But in actuality, all they're doing is protecting the new communist regime that's actually coming in to take place. That's their job, is to protect the new communist regime that's trying to take place.
Ideology, mixture of religion and ideology. Here, we have all this artificial's body claiming power. If the power is denied to them, they take it by force. In case of Iran, for example, all of a sudden we have revolutionary committee.
Isn't that what Maduro did with Venezuela? He just took it.
What kind of revolution? There was no revolution yet, and yet they had the committees. They were taking power of judgment. They had the power of execution. They had the power of legislation, and that they had the power of judicial. All of them combined in one person, who is half-baked intellectual, sometimes graduated from Harvard University or Berkeley. He comes back to his country and he thinks that he knows.
A half-baked individual that graduated from Harvard and Berkeley, two of our biggest schools of indoctrination for far left wingers. Yeah, for far left wing people, what do we think? Harvard and Berkeley. It's funny. This is 1983. By the way, I did check. It is 1983, not in 1984. So Bill Still was wrong when he said 1984. Bless you, Timo.
The answer to all the social economical problems. Okay? Crisis is when society cannot function any more productively. It collapses, obviously. That's the word for crisis. So therefore, the population at large is looking for a savior. The religious groups are expecting a messiah to come.
Okay. They're looking for a savior. America, their savior was Bernie Sanders, and then they would have settled for Hillary Clinton. There were two people that were going to institute globalism or institute socialism, okay? Trump was everything that was an antithesis of it, okay? Believe it or not, their savior in Venezuela is part of the party called Will Popular. Will Popular is a socialist democrat party, which is a communist party, okay? We've spoken about that AOC and Alexandria or Octavio Cortez, socialist democrat, are the same thing as the Bolsheviks, which are communists. But people are fooled by it. People are like, well, why would Trump support anything like that? Why would he support another party like the new Bernie Sanders party? And a couple reasons. One, because it's not about who he's supporting as opposed to who he's not supporting. He's not supporting Maduro, who is actually leading a caravan and the whole crisis into America. It's his way of letting Maduro know that he's going to screw his country up, okay, for what he's been leading the last 7 months, this charge of trying to destabilize America, okay? So I don't think it was so much that. Two, I think possibly, and I said this possibly yesterday, is that the people may not want to go that far left anymore. Even though the Socialist Democrats, that's what they are, they have experienced oppression firsthand. They have experience not having food. They have experience of not having toilet paper. They have experience of being broke and losing 17 pounds on an average. They may not want to experience socialism as deep as they used to, but they do want a replacement for Maduro. And hopefully this guy has learned something from that. Who knows?
The workers say we have family to feed. Let's have a strong government, maybe socialist government, centralized. When somebody put their employers on their place and let us work. We are sick and tired of going to strike and missing overtime and all that stuff. We need some strong man, strong government, a leader, a savior is needed. Population is sick and tired already. And here we are. We have a savior. Either a foreign nation comes in, or the local group of leftists, Marxists, no matter what they call themselves, Sandinista.
And that leftist group that's coming in that they're all trying to overtake Maduro with is Juan Guaido, who is from the party Will Popular. Again, that party is a Socialist Democrat party. And I know the Socialist Democrats don't like to consider themselves anything other than Socialist Democrats. But if you actually look up the definition of Socialist Democrats and you actually look and see who actually were Socialist Democrats, they were the Bolsheviks, who were communists. Then you start looking at what they believe in. It's communism. So are the Venezuelans going to literally get what they want? Are they going to get a communist government and then go, oh no, we just took one dictator out and put another one in? Well, we certainly hope not. The story will tell.
A reverend or some sort, Bishop Muzureva, like in Zimbabwe, doesn't matter. A savior comes and says, I will lead you. So we have two alternatives here. Civil war, an invasion.
So there's the invasion, okay? There's the hundreds of thousands of people led by a revolution, led by their savior, Juan Guaido. Is it going to overthrow this person? I believe so.
Okay? See how it goes? Civil war, we know what it is. Lebanon is the best example. The civil war, which was artificially implanted in Lebanon by injection of force of PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Invasion we have in many other countries like Afghanistan, name any East European country, it was invaded by the Soviet army. But the result is the same. The next stage is normalization. Normalization.
Okay, this is where my video started to end last time. So I just backed it up a little bit. So you had an extra 20 minutes of listening to me, but at least you got to hear some things I may not have said on the first one.
It's a very ironic word, of course.
Ironic, he means tongue-in-cheek, meaning we are back to normal, and all. But really, it isn't. What it is like what Maduro did. Maduro, this stage takes approximately about 6 to 7 weeks. In Maduro's case, it took about 7.5 weeks, and then they fought off all of the dissidents. They arrested them, they jailed them, and then he comes out and says, our country's back to normal. That's what it is.
It is borrowed from 1968 situation in Czechoslovakia, when the Soviet propaganda, and after them New York Times, declared the country is normalized. The tanks moved into Prague, so there is no more Prague Spring, there is no more violence, normalization. At that stage, the self-appointed rulers of the society don't need any revolution anymore. They don't need any radicalism anymore. So this is the reverse from destabilization. Basically, it is stabilizing the country by force. So all the sleepers and activists and social workers and liberals and homosexuals and professors and Marxists and Leninists are being eliminated physically sometimes. They've done their job already. Okay? They are not needed anymore. The new rulers need stability to exploit the nation, to exploit the country, to take advantages of the victory. Okay? So no more revolutionaries, please. And that's exactly what happened.
And by the way, that's the same thing that's happening with AMLO, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, the same thing in Mexico. Now he's going to try to eliminate all those people that got him in power, all those dissidents. And the reason is he doesn't need them anymore. They're vocal, they're loud, okay? He doesn't need them anymore.
It was in a number of countries. You remember Bangladesh? This is the crisis in which I was instrumental. First they had Mujibur Rahman. In 1971, he was the leader of People's Party, Awami League, with mustache like Stalin. He was in Russia many times. In 5 years, he was shot by his former colleagues, Marxists. He fulfilled his function. In Afghanistan, it happened 3 times. First there was Taraki, then there was Amin, now there's Babrak Karmal. They killed each other successively, one after another. The moment he...
The left, always killing the left. Why? Because they're all have their own little subgroups and they're all totalitarian. So if you have white supremacists, totalitarian. If you have black supremacists, they're totalitarian. If you have globalists, they're totalitarian. Everybody wants their version of what they consider utopia. None of it's utopia, and they will kill each other for it.
Fulfills his duty. The first one demoralized country, the second destabilized, the third one brought it to crisis. Goodbye, comrades. Babrak Karmal comes from Moscow and put him into the seat of power. Same thing happened in Grenada recently. Maurice Bishop, Marxist, was killed by Austin, what's his name, General something, was also a Marxist. Right? So no more revolutions, please. Normalization now. From now on, no more strikes, no more homosexuals, no more women lib, no more kid lib, no more lib, period. Good solid democratic proletarian freedom. Now, to reverse this process takes enormous effort. When today, United States had to invade Grenada to reverse the process of subversion. Some people say, boy, this is not good, it's not kosher to invade the beautiful country, island of Grenada. Well, why didn't you stop the process here, when Grenada was just approached by leftists? Why not to prevent Maurice Bishop to come in power in the first place? Did Grenadians want him? Very questionable. They didn't know who was Maurice Bishop in the first place. He came to power by coup d'etat himself. Okay? No, we let the situation develop further and further and further until the crisis and normalization very soon. And then the United States decided to invade country, discovering that the country was absolutely a military base for the Soviet Union. Of course it's a drastic measure. Of course it's a pity that Marine Corps had to lose, 17 lives. Very bad. Why not to stop the process before it comes to crisis? Oh no, intellectuals will not let you. It's interference into domestic affairs. They're very careful not to let American administration to interfere in domestic affairs of Latin American countries. They don't mind Soviet Union interfere in these affairs. Okay. So to reverse this process from here, it takes only and always military force. No other force on earth can reverse this process at this point. At this point, it does not take military invasion of the United States Army. It takes strong action, like in Chile. A CIA covert involvement to prevent the savior from outside to come into power and to stabilize country before it erupts into civil war.
Just like America. Elect Trump as opposed to electing Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. But now, because of that, and Trump is in, we're not going to have a civil war type deal right now, okay? According to him. But in like Venezuela, but in places like anywhere you have a socialist or a globalist type of dictator, such as what they have in France, such as what they have in Mexico, such as what they have in Venezuela. Okay? Anywhere they got these globalists in there, and the globalists are acting just like communists, remember that. They're just a nice little cute word just to prevent people from thinking that they are as such. Okay? Hi, Timo. That's my dog. Okay.
Before it erupts into civil war. Okay? Support the right-wing conservative forces. By money, by crooks or love, doesn't matter. Stabilize the country. Don't let the crisis develop into civil war or invasion. Oh no, your liberals will say it's against the law. The Congress will not appropriate money for covert actions of CIA. Why?
Don't you find that interesting? Huh? Listen.
Not. Should we wait till the normalization come and Soviet tanks land in Los Angeles airport? Now, at that point, at the point of destabilization, also the process could be reversed. Again, easily than this. No CIA involvement at this point. You know what it takes here? Restriction of some liberties for small groups.
Restriction of liberties, including some of the liberties is, I would say, for example, the media. Start to reverse some of the libel laws. Okay, so because this is where they're pushing their indoctrination. Look at how the media does things now. They just write things and then don't care if it's true or false, and then they say, prove it, okay? And if somebody doesn't come up with a video, they destroy people's lives. It's really bad.
Which are self-declared enemies of the society. As simple as that. Oh no, the media and liberals will tell you this is against the American Constitution. How can we, by force, deny the civil rights to criminals, for example? It's not good. Okay? So we allow them to. Okay, if you allow the criminals to have civil rights, go on and bring the country to the crisis. This.
Right. How many of these governors are actually letting out criminals so that they could vote, right? Exactly. This is all part of their game plan.
It's a bloodless way to do. Curb the rights. I mean, not to put them in prison. No, I'm not talking about putting all the gays from San Francisco in the concentration camp. Do not allow them to take political force. Do not elect them to the...
And they had. Not even shortly after. Look at California now. The LGBT community controls the state assembly in California. They own it.
Of power, whether it is municipality level, state level, or federal level. It has to be beaten in the heads of American voters that a person like that in the seats of power is an enemy. Do not be afraid of this word. It is an enemy. If he is not an enemy here, he will be here. Later on, he will be shot, of course. But at this point, he is an enemy. Okay? You are doing great service by denying him a right to capitalize on his own crazy ideas and become a powerful man, a man who uses the seat of power. Restriction of certain freedoms and permissiveness at that point would prevent sliding into crisis and probably will return the process of destabilization. To curb unlimited power, monopolistic power of trade unions here at that point would save economy from collapsing.
Okay. I'm going to end this here, but I'm going to kind of just wrap this up. In other words, once you have hit the normalization stage, you need a civil war or you need intervention. If you stop it at the crisis stage, like America did, it's not going to be an easy battle, but it's an uphill battle without having another country intervene or having a civil war. So America was close to that crisis stage. I always say we are one bite of cake away from electing Hillary Clinton. Okay? One bite from being in the same boat as Venezuela. Okay? All right. Thank you for watching part 2 of Ideological Subversion. Okay? I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.